How's it going, Godzilla fans, kaiju fans, collectors, and just general people of YouTube? This is Chanzilla 1964 coming to you with a comparison video today. Today we're going to be comparing and contrasting the different variants that we have of our Godzilla figures that came out in the past couple of years. So first off, let's start with Big Bad himself that we saw in the last video, Bagan. So here we have my custom figure of Bagan, which is more or less the same figure that we saw before, just with more paint, in that I added paint for his bulbs here on the edges of his spines. But yeah, basically what changed for Bagan so far with the different variants is the paint color scheme, which the color scheme was similar to this in that it transitions, but instead of transitioning from brown to bronze, transitioned from this gray to this metallic kind of color here. And then the same amount of spikes here were painted here as well. And then this is the same. This all stayed the same. Versus this is all just one color. Versus this had the purple and the gray going on. Although keep in mind that this was in fact just all one color at one point. Even though I wouldn't have minded seeing the eye color included here. Then besides that, the rest of the areas were not painted, except for the kind of the itty bitty tips of the tails were painted, but that's about it, similar to how the tip of the tail is painted here. Besides that though, the segments for where the pink is or the red is painted where they're similarly over here. Only thing is that they did not paint the chest on this guy, because this guy had the just one color chest, versus this variation of Bagan had the whole armored plating thing going on here. So yeah, besides that, the only difference is going to be the eye color and the overall color of the body, in that the video game version of Bagan here is all orange versus the studio version is all gray. So ultimately it's really up to your preference as to what Bagan you like. Do let me know in the comment section down below which Bagan that you like, and then I'll have a kind of copy and pasting, so you can copy and paste and pick between the variants that we have going on here. So this one will be video game Bagan and studio Bagan. So let me know which version that you prefer personally. I always prefer this one, although it would be cool if they had a video game version of Bagan where he had more of the tufts of fur going on over here, kind of like his concept art, versus the more hardened, scaly, spiky detail of the studio Bagan. But yeah. Next up, we have a good version of a Big Bad. We have the GMK Ghidorah with his, I guess, final battle variant is what they call him. Yeah. So this version of the GMK Ghidorah comes from the this past Godzilla Fest short, and that had Godzilla and Jet Jaguar versus this GMK Ghidorah. Holy crap, this GMK Ghidorah over here. So as you see, we have the original GMK Ghidorah here, which has, like I said, if you watch my original review from, really nice paint. Love the paint work on him. And then we have this guy, which is this really nice translucent yellow vinyl with just orangey kind of, yeah, pretty much just orange burgundy-ish kind of highlights across the whole figure, which ended up very nice. I like it personally. This figure reminds me of when Ghidorah essentially went into spirit form in Godzilla GMK. So I like this guy, but I will always hold a special place in my heart for the GMK Ghidorah, as cool as this one is. So yeah, that's the only difference in paint wise and stuff, is that this guy is paint accurate. This guy is painted like his alive version. This guy's painted like his spiritual version, pretty much. Which, they're both very cool. And then this one I feel like is going to be the one everyone has a hard time with. So yeah, next up for the poll in the comment section, this one is going to be Spirit GMK Ghidorah, and then Earth Form GMK Ghidorah. Spirit form, Earth form. Let me know in the comment section down below which one you guys prefer. Personally, I will always prefer this one, although this one is one that you should not miss. This one is always cool. Imagine if they released the Mothra and the Baragon for GMK, and they released them in this form. How amazing that would be. It would be really cool, personally. yeah. Okay, next up we have another variant of another Godzilla bad guy, that being the variants for Megaguirus here. So this being the Megaguirus that came out a couple years ago, Megaguirus from the Bandai Movie Monster series, and this being the final battle version of Megaguirus from Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, that film. So this version is based off of when Megaguirus decides to use Godzilla's atomic energy against him after she drains it using her tail, and that she builds up the energy in her wings and blasts it from her chest. And then this is the normal version of Megaguirus. So I personally like this Megaguirus better because this does a lot where it doesn't have to, personally. In that you could have kept the body, or you could have made a shinier body. Like, you see how the wings are colored? If they had this color on the whole body, and then they kept the bronze, and they just had the orange wings and orange chest, I think it would have been perfect. This just does a lot in that I don't really know if it has to be translucent here. I'd rather it wasn't, personally, although I'm not at all, you know, I don't really, that's the only change I would make. Besides that, everything else is amazing, from the bronze and the orange here for the translucent wings, and then you got the bronze going for the whole body, which this is what should have been here, in my opinion. Even though I like the color scheme here, this would have been really, really cool to see translated onto this figure. And then, yeah, again, personally, I like this Megaguirus over this one. This one I feel like went too far where it didn't have to necessarily. But let me know in the comment section down below which one you guys prefer. That being the regular version of Megaguirus or final battle version of Megaguirus. Let me know in the comment section, poll down below. And then here we have the big G-Man himself for his first variant, that being Godzilla 2000 2.0. We have the regular version of him and the atomic breath version of him, or the heat ray version of him. So honestly, both figures are really, really good. The only difference being that one figure has a bit of darker paint versus this one has a bit lighter paint, and this dorsal plates are translucent and orange, and that orange shines on the body versus this one just straight up purple, the titular purple Godzilla 2000 dorsal fins. And then sadly here, the paint doesn't go all the way till where this one goes, which is a bit of a bummer, but not at all something that detracts from this figure, as this is still a really, really cool figure. And then paint, or inside the mouth is going to be painted orange versus this is going to be regular. So yeah, it looks like this Godzilla's just ready to blast you. This one's just staring you down. Like, before you piss him off, after you piss him off. That would be a good way of putting it. That's not what I'm going to put at the poll in any way, by the way. But yeah, personally, I've always held a soft spot in that when I got my first Megaguirus figure, I got in the set where it had Megaguirus with her juvenile forms and this Godzilla and the jet that comes with that set. And then I also had the original version of this Godzilla 2000, which at one point was my favorite Godzilla suit. Also, I was born in the year 2000, which was also one of the biases, but eventually I transitioned over to the 64 suit, which ended up being my favorite. But this will always hold a sweet spot in my heart as one of my first favorite Godzilla suits. But yeah, that backstory beside, let me know which version you prefer. Personally, I will end up picking this version because of the atomic breath, but I will always like this version because it has the better tail paint, honestly, and it's Godzilla 2000. So yeah, we'll keep it normal, regular version Godzilla 2000, heat ray version Godzilla 2000. That's what we're going to be calling in the poll, and let me know which one you prefer down below. Last but not least, we are going to end it with the big bad of Godzilla himself. If Godzilla was Batman, he would be Godzilla's Joker. Here is King Ghidorah in his first ever Showa appearance, and his variant that we got, which ended up being the Bandai Premium exclusive King Ghidorah. So right off the bat, the whole color scheme is just different. The head positioning is a little different too, in that this one is a little more scrunched together, whereas this one is a little more spread out. You know, this is just for the box, because it was in a box. This one was just, you know, straight up released with the tag here. This is a bit of a more fair way of looking at it though. So the paint is ultimately what is the biggest difference, and I'm going to move the camera up here for these guys, in that the paint, this is the regular Ghidorah paint for what we see of King Ghidorah from the Showa series. We just have the golden dragon look with his hair, with his mane, dragon mane, and the red eye, with the nicely painted tongues here, and no paint on the teeth. The teeth are just regular gold. Really nicely painted eyes here for this Ghidorah. And then we translate over to here. We have what would have been for the Showa Ghidorah. This is what Showa Ghidorah, the shadow version of him, if you will. The shadow version of the Showa Ghidorah, in that this was the original paint scheme for him, in that he was going to have these red, gold, and blue kind of wings, very reminiscent of Eastern dragons in Japan, and that this was their colors. And it's really nice, honestly. The body overall is going to be this really nice blue. I'm not sure why they have the tips of the wings red. This is interesting color choice in my opinion. And then you're going to have the eyes all individually painted red and black, similar to the what ended up on the Ghidorah here. And you're going to have the golden horns, the golden necks, and splotches of gold across the chest. Besides that, the rest of the body is going to be this nice blue color. The teeth are going to be gold here as well, which is very interesting, very nicely done, very nice and cool. So are the toenails. So I guess the body or the bones of Ghidorah is just straight up gold as well. And then nice little red tongues here, and the manes are going to be brown instead of this kind of grayish color here. This is going to be basing a little bit of paint on mine, which isn't really a biggie, but yeah, it is what it is. It's there. Now, for me, and this is going to be something that I guess some people find interesting. I personally like this Ghidorah color better, because it's really cool seeing the shadow version of Ghidorah out and about, and I like this color scheme because it really brings out quite a bit of the details, especially in terms of the horns and the teeth and the chest. I like this part here. This is a cool little added detail, although this will always hold a special place in my heart because it is Ghidorah. This is like the definitive figure for Ghidorah, besides his neck's not moving. But this is what Ghidorah could have been, and I love history. This is a cool piece of history, so I will prefer this figure over this figure for now. For now, the variant for me wins over the original. Although, let me know in the comment section down below. Take the comment section poll. Are you going to pick the Ghidorah we got, or the Ghidorah we could have gotten? And you know, the names are going to be regular version Ghidorah, Showa Ghidorah, King Ghidorah, and shadow version Showa King Ghidorah. So, take your picks in the polls down below right now, and I'll see you when we get back to the review. Alright, so this will do it for today's comparison video, you guys. I'm excited to see what you guys picked for your guys' choices down in the comment section down below for our variants poll. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys want to see me do more videos like this, where we do have these kind of polls in the comment section down below, where we compare the variants versus the regulars. And if you guys want to have that debate in the comment section down below too, do be sure to have that debate. It's good, healthy conversation that I'm excited to see. And I would like to see and hear you guys' thoughts as to, you know, you guys' thoughts on the variants and what you guys thought worked, what may not have worked for the variants and the original figures. But yeah, do be sure to hit me up in the comment sections down below, and hit each other up in the comment section down below too, if you feel inclined to. But with that being said, if you guys like what you see on the channel so far, do be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have other videos coming out after this, not sure when because of my busy schedule, but I do hope we'll be getting them rolled out at least once a week. So with that being said, this has been Chanzilla 1964 saying until next time I see you guys, stay tuned and peace.